Are we live? What's up, everybody? My name is Kat Jones. I'm the editorial director here at The Pit. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to be joined by Nate Garrett of Spirit Adrift. And we're going to talk about everything he's been up to lately. This is our first ever live stream, so you'll have to forgive. This is like the first pancake. Be patient with us. Looks like a lot of you are popping in, so this should be pretty fun. Hey, what's
Hey, Kat.
up?
We did it.
We did it. This is really funny. This is our first time ever doing this, and we have like 108,000 followers. So if it had not worked out, then it would have been pretty funny.
But here we are. It worked out.
Here we are. How are you?
I'm good. I'm holding up. How are you?
Doing all right. It's weird being in New York City right now, but we're getting by.
Yeah, it seems like that's kind of an epicenter of this whole thing. I've seen pictures of the streets and videos and stuff, and it's pretty unprecedented.
Yeah, it's weird. It's there are like sirens every minute, and sometimes were the sirens always that loud and now it's just quiet, or are there quite a bit more of them now? We're all just kind of hyper aware and trying to keep ourselves busy and doing what we can to not spread any more of the virus than has already been spread around. What have you been up to?
That's all you can do. Same thing, really. I mean, it's weird. I feel like in a lot of ways, I've just kind of been living this way already. So many musicians I've talked to and artists, they're kind of the same. Like, pretty antisocial, I guess. I feel like I dropped out there for a second.
Yeah, you froze for just a second.
Okay.
First pancake, everyone.
Yeah. We're in a pretty rural area. We just moved a month ago, just over a month ago. And I mean, we're in a neighborhood. I'm just like writing music every day like I always do. We got a couple of puppies, so I've been raising them. There's like a lot of responsibilities with the house. There's all kinds of new stuff that I'm not used to. Like we have a septic tank, and it rained for like the last month down here, and it like flooded and malfunctioned and all this shit. And so I learned how to like manually drain a septic tank in the last 3 days. So I'm staying super busy, but I don't normally watch the news. We don't have cable. I haven't had cable since I was 18, living with my folks, but I have been, every once in a while, I like revisit the NBC nightly news. It's just on YouTube, just because I feel like it's important to at least have some sort of vague idea of what's going on right now, just out of a matter of safety,
Right.
My wife is still going to work. She works for Whole Foods. She manages a department there. So this year's been crazy for us just because all the life changes, big cross country move. She's never lived in any place other than Phoenix, Arizona. So it's like weird for her, new job, new people. And then literally the second she starts working the new job, this happens. So it's just like everybody else. We're living in bizarro land right now.
Right. Especially working with the general public. That's got to be really scary right now.
It is. Yeah. I'm about as anti-corporate as a person could be. But I will say that Whole Foods has been handling it pretty well from the beginning. They've really been taking care of the employees. And I hate corporations, so I'm not a shill here. You can ask my wife how I feel about corporations and Whole Foods, but they've been handling it really well and taking care of people. The first measure that they implemented, they just started letting 50 people into the store at a time, and they had to have like a security guard, which it's just weird. It's weird to see that, to walk to the grocery store where there's never been a security guard, and then there's a guy who's there to like make sure nothing goes down, And then 2 days ago, they started making the employees wear the facial masks. So it's just weird. It's weird. That's not what she signed up for, but she's a badass. She's like, there's people calling out, and she's just like, whatever. If you don't want to come to work, I understand. Like, she told me yesterday, like, we're at war right now, and like, I'm at war, and I'm trying to help. But people that work for grocery stores and stuff like that didn't sign up to go to war, So it's understandable that people don't want to come to work at a time like this. But I've just been pretty amazed with her and all the people, like all the healthcare workers, obviously, grocery store people, everybody that's working through this. It's like pretty amazing.
Yeah, and they're literally keeping us alive too. So
yeah,
tell her that we are all so grateful for what she's doing.
I will. I do.
So let's get into it. Let's start at the very beginning. So what got you into heavy metal in the first place?
Black Sabbath.
Hell yeah.
Straight up. Or, I mean, like the first music I remember hearing was Creedence. I was raised by my grandparents, and they were like working and raising kids their whole life. So they were kind of like, they weren't hip to like what was going on. Mm-hmm. But my grandmother is a musician. She's like a really good musician. She wouldn't say that she is, but she totally is. And, they would listen to Creedence and Steely Dan and stuff like that, and the Eagles. So I remember hearing that when I was a kid, and I liked the guitar. Like, I liked Creedence a lot. I liked the way, like the driving beat, and it was kind of raw sounding. Mm-hmm. And the production from the 60s is like raw, but it's like really, there's like a wide spectrum of just rich frequencies in that era of production. Mm-hmm. And that all really appealed to me. And then I heard Jimi Hendrix, and that was the first time that I was like, this is mine. Like, that is mine. I think it was Purple Haze, and then I heard like Voodoo Child, and I was like, this guy is insane.
Totally.
It was just heavier. It was like similar to CCR and stuff like that. I remember hearing Leonard Skinner in the opening credits of Happy Gilmore, I think. I was in like 4th grade when that movie came out or something. And
what a place to hear that. That's so funny.
Oh yeah, it's like Tuesday's Gone, like the intro with the lead guitar and stuff. And I was like, man. So at a young age, guitar like kept kind of creeping into my brain. Mm-hmm. Jimi Hendrix kind of set it off. And then I was just sitting around watching pop-up video on like VH1 Classic or something. I think at this point I was in 6th or 7th grade. And I saw the video for Paranoid. I think it was the Beat Club one. There's another one where there's like a pinwheel spinning behind them. Mm-hmm. It was one of those. And I just like, I remember hearing Paranoid and seeing what those guys looked like. And it was over. It was over. Like that moment, it was over. Any sort of like, and people through my whole life, like to try to help me, have tried to steer me away from this. But like as soon as I saw and heard Black Sabbath, there was no hope for me to like have a normal life or do anything else other than this.
Do you mean steer you away from like being a musician? Or
Oh yeah, I think that any responsible parent should kind of like, anyone that cares about their kid would be like, I don't like, they supported me. They always supported me. Mm-hmm. Always. I don't want to give the wrong idea. And it wasn't just my folks. It's like friends, girlfriends, like throughout your life, people be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right. Like, are you sure you don't want like a normal job with like insurance or?
Yeah, exactly. And most of the time it's out of love. I've run into it quite a few times where it wasn't out of love, but yeah, I mean, when I heard Sabbath, it was done. And there's been times, not recently, but there's been times in my life where it was like, okay, I'm going to step away from playing in a band and try this. Like I went to college when I was 18 because that's what you're supposed to do. Right. Didn't work. And then, when I was like 21 or 22 and I moved to Phoenix, that was kind of to get away. Things were going south like big time in a lot of different ways in Arkansas where I was living. And I moved to Phoenix to like get away from a lot of stuff, get away from playing in bands. I was fed up with it. And that it just didn't work. Like the longest I've not played in bands since I was like 13 is 6 months or something, or 7 months. Yeah. And it just doesn't work. I've tried it. I mean, I'll admit that I've like given up a few times, and then it just didn't work. And so it's just like, I was just not happy. I had no other choice but to go back to playing in a band, you know?
Right. And if you have some success at it and you can't seem to do anything else, like, it makes sense that you'd want to just put all your energy into doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a catch-22 because there's a gap right here. There's like, if you're under this, you can like work a regular job and have a normal life and play locally and maybe tour like, you know, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this like, let's say this is like full-time musician, but there's this gray area where it's like you get enough success to where you're super busy with the band, but maybe you're not making enough money to like live on. So there's that is a hard like threshold to get through. And that's what took so fucking long, is like I would get in a band, we'd be touring, we'd be making like a little bit of money, getting label interest, whatever. But then it would just like fall apart because that threshold is like so difficult to break through. And it's ironic that I was able to break through it the one time I didn't try and like didn't care about any of that. I started recording Spirit Adrift stuff, and then it just like worked when I had no intention of even making anything out of the band or anything. So
Why
it's
do you
weird.
think, why do you think Spirit Adrift was the first one that really took off?
It might be because of that. I think about that all the time. And, you know, when you're a kid and you first start playing, I mean, I think most young dudes will probably admit that like getting attention from girls has like a little bit to do with it, obviously.
Absolutely.
But there's an honesty to it also. It's fun. It feels really good. You're hanging out with your friends. You're like learning how to do something through trial and error. You're like getting to play, getting to like kill some time, whatever. And it's really pure. And then at some point, as you get older, I think this applies to like any career field or any just life in general. All this other stuff starts coming in, like money and stuff like that, and success, which is like completely meaningless. Once you figure that out, that's a big step towards success, is figuring out that there's no real such thing as success.
Right.
But you go from being a kid with these pure intentions to maybe like, oh, it'd be cool if we could be on a record label. It'd be cool if we could tour with this band. It'd be cool if we could do this. And then maybe you start to forget about like why you started doing this in the first place, which is it's fun. And if you're like me, like I have to do it. I have to do it. I've learned that throughout my life. Like it's an outlet that is crucial to me being healthy and being alive, really. Like I have no choice but to make music. And so after years of like trying to reach some kind of success that turns out didn't even exist, you know, in any sort of tangible form, I just kind of like gave up on that idea. I was like, whatever. I had reached a breaking point in my personal life too. Like everything was fucked. And I just like started over completely. And then I had these songs in my head. I just recorded them because I wanted to. And that's it. There was no thought of like, I'm going to turn this into a band. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And so I think, ironically enough, it was back to that pure intention. And I feel like there's a lot of truth to intention dictating outcomes of situations. You know, you can have one intention, do something, and it turns out one way. Have a different intention, do the exact same thing, but it turns out a different way. I really believe that. And my only intention with this band was to get the songs out and have them out, you know, somewhere
just really to create art.
Yeah, exactly. I just needed them out of my head so I could listen to them and enjoy them, you know. And I think that pure intention is what makes a lot of art connect with people, and then in turn, ironically, succeed in some sort of material way, you know.
And maybe there's a little bit less like nervousness surrounding it, where you're not trying so hard to like, you know, fit a round peg in a square hole or whatever. Like you're just putting it out there and saying like, you guys like take this or leave it. I'm going to make it anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. And all my favorite artists in anything, music and movies or whatever. Like I've heard everybody I look up to say that. Like I've heard Clint Eastwood say that. He's like, once you start thinking about what other people want, you're going to get really confused. So I just make the movies that I want to make, and people try to talk me out of it, and people say it's not going to work, and I don't care. And you know, that's just anecdotal. That's Clint Eastwood, who's a cool, whatever, filmmaker. But like everybody says that. Every artist that's worth a shit, they're not like concerned about anything other than making something that's honest and powerful, you know, and worthwhile.
Right.
And that's it. And that's all this is. I don't really care. It's funny because even at this stage, I'm like, I don't really care like what happens. We have a new record coming out this year, and I'm like so proud of it, and I feel so good about everything we've done, but especially this new record that I'm kind of like, if we never tour again, I'm going to be fine. If we never make another record, like I'll be making records till I'm dead, you know, but I'm so glad that I've done what I've done so far. And I'm grateful that I was able to do all this and make all this music that I'm actually proud of. And so I just, there's nothing like externally that appeals to me at this point.
Good. Well, I'm glad you're exactly where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So you said you have a new album coming out this year. Has that been announced yet?
Like vaguely. I've been talking about it in interviews. 20 Bucks Spin, like teased it on Twitter, I think. Like there's no official announcement. Well, actually, I think that Century Media might have mentioned it in an official press release. I didn't even mean to make a new record. I just like couldn't stop writing songs that I liked. So I was like, whatever. I'm not one of those guys that feels like I need to do anything. I don't need to put out a record every year. I don't need to put out like a bunch of stuff all the time. I don't really care about that. But at the same time, if there's cool songs coming out, then might as well record them, you know?
Right. And you have so much time on your hands right now that.
Yeah. I mean, we actually recorded the album in January. So before all this happened. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, I'm writing still. I have like 5 songs demoed right now. I just write and demo everything at home anyway. So.
Well, one of the things that's impressed me so much about Spirit Adrift over the years is that you really are prolific. Like for a band that's only really been putting out records since 2016.
Yeah.
You like consistently put one out at least every 2 years. Because you have 3 out. Chained to Oblivion came out 2016, right? And then Curse of Conception was in 2017, and then last year you put out Divided by Darkness. And during that time you were also in Gatecreeper, the death metal band. So how do you keep yourself so creative and so prolific when you're working so hard on all these different things at the same time?
I mean, I'm fascinated with like mental health and psychology and physical health and spiritual health, if you will, and all of that, and creative health and how it all connects, because it's all pretty much the same. It's like different sides of the same, you know, 10-sided die or whatever.
Totally. The D&D dice.
Yeah. I mean, that's when I was in college, I studied psychology because that's the thing that I excel at naturally, probably as much as music. That's probably the only other thing I excel at that makes sense to me, just kind of inherently. So I've always been fascinated with like how to optimize creativity and optimize this and your body and everything. Now, granted, for a huge chunk of my life, I did the opposite of what you're supposed to do, but I was still like fascinated with it. And, you know, I was thinking about this earlier because my wife told me yesterday, she was just like, you're so fucking intense. And, you know, she's like a really, really sweet, kind, gentle, calm person. And I mean, I think I'm a nice person, but I'm fucking crazy. I'm literally like crazy. And even when I was like partying and fucking around super hard, I was thinking about it. Like even back then, I was like regimented, and I was like as extreme as I could be. I was trying to outdo everybody if it came to like drinking or doing drugs or whatever. See who can stay up the longest, who can be the craziest, who can do the craziest thing, like who can be the most destructive, whatever. I was always like militant about that. So I think that's always been in me, but it just got redirected lately. And so instead of like trying to drink more wild turkey than everybody and like blow up more things with like homemade pipe bombs, you know, I'm like exercising and meditating and eating right and writing music every day. Even if it sucks, I'll just throw it away the next day, whatever, or just forget about it, you know. But yeah, I mean, it's all connected. It's all connected. And I think that there's no like secret to succeeding in whatever it is that you're passionate about. You just should fucking take care of yourself and just work hard. Just work hard and try to find some self-love, you know, like, which is hard, especially if you've been through like trauma and you've done fucked up things to people. But it's just crucial. Like, I work really hard every day. Like every day I wake up, because I'm fucking insane. It's like it's an uphill battle. I'm like, I wake up and my default setting is like violence and pain and anger and negativity and like real, I'm not talking about cool stuff. I'm talking about like shit that is not fun and shit that is not like appealing, that would like gross most people out, including myself, you know? So it's just an uphill battle just to get through life. And so I think the amount of work that I put in, just like getting through a day, trickles off into my creativity also.
Mm-hmm. And you we talk a lot about sobriety and you know, how you totally changed your life. And it seems like that was when you decided to get sober. It was like right at the very beginning of Spirit Adrift, right? So
yeah, totally.
At the same time.
Yeah.
So would you say that's like thematically kind of what you're channeling into your music, like things you write about, or are there a lot more themes that you're bringing into your music too?
It's, you know, I was, but to answer your original question, yeah, I got sober and then I had the Spirit Adrift first EP recorded in like a month or like two months. So, I mean, it was like instantaneous. So that the early stuff was definitely connected to that period of my life. But what it is like whatever period of my life I'm in, which may include like dealing with past stuff that I haven't really addressed, whatever period of life I'm going through is what's going to end up on the album, whatever album I'm working on, you know? And I was talking to Mike Gitter, the A&R guy at Century Media over here.
Shout out to Mike. He rules. I love that guy.
Yeah, I love that guy. And he, you know, we were just bullshitting and I told him something like, I have a limitless well of pain. Like, and that sounds terrible. I'm not trying to be like over dramatic, but like all of my favorite art comes from pain. It's like a way to take something negative and transform it into something good. And I just like, I just have like so much pain to work through. I'll be working through it for the rest of my life, but that doesn't necessarily have to be like a bad thing.
Right.
It can feel good to win. It's like you're in a competition with yourself every day. Like which side of me is going to prevail today? And then if you find some peace and self-reflection and you work through something that day, and not every day is like that. Like some days I'm just fine. But like I got enough to work with that I'll probably like never run out of material, you know?
And it seems like heavy metal is like the best place for a person to do that, to take anger and pain and darkness and turn it into something that not only makes you feel better, but makes everybody who listens to it feel better too.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Metal is definitely known for that. And you can find that in pretty much any genre of music. My favorite genre of music at this point in my life is country music, like old country, and not even necessarily old, just real country music.
Outlaw country.
Yeah, all kinds of shit, really. Like Eric from Gatecreeper turned me on to like 90s pop country stuff that's really good. And
He's
it's like,
always posting that stuff, and I love it. Like it's like reminded me also that stuff is really great.
yeah, it's amazing. And it's the same thing in that world. It's like dudes trying to deal with these demons. I got some George Jones records on this shelf where you look at the picture on the cover and he looks like he's about to hang himself.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
it's
some dark
real.
shit.
It's real. So that stuff influences Spirit Adrift as well. But yeah, metal, like, especially when you're growing up, you just the aggression of it. You're full of these hormones and shit, and it's like, that's the age at which it really connects, I think. But as I get older, I'm listening to country. I'm like, that's what's speaking to me as like an older adult type person, you know? Yeah.
Adult type person.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we are in a time where people like to argue over genre names and what metal band is under what genre. How would you describe Spirit Adrift?
I don't know. I don't really care. It's I had this analogy that I did an interview a while back. I think it was with Invisible Oranges or something. And I was like watching, I was just starting boxing training. And I was watching a lot of boxing, like documentaries and footage and stuff. And I think Mike Tyson is a very fascinating person. I think he's a person that, one thing we have in common is we look back on our past selves and hate that person, like, and regret certain things that we did, and maybe we're better now, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I've always had a weird connection with Mike Tyson in that way. But he was saying, or I don't think it was him that was saying it, but somebody was talking about him. He would go through archival footage from like as early a date as he could find of boxing matches. And he would watch, just like obsessively watch every single boxing match he could, year after year after year after year after year. And if he saw a technique that someone used that worked really well, and he thought it could work for like his body type or his style or whatever, he would implement that technique. He would spar and practice that technique and implement it into his arsenal. But of course, he's his own person. He's his own person with his own like trauma and his own life story leading up to that point that is going to determine his basic style, or even the lens through which he's viewing, you know, this thing that he's doing, this art form. But he took all these things that he saw throughout the years worked for what he was trying to do, and then put it into his arsenal and like kind of absorbed it into what his style was. And I think that's like the most long-winded answer possible. But that's how I feel. Like hearing about that, I was like, shit, I think maybe that's kind of what I'm doing. Like, I just listen to all my favorite music, and every musician does this, I think, and every artist. You see what you like and how that works for them, and maybe you implement that into your arsenal. But again, it's like what any artist is bringing to the table that's unique is them. So like what I'm bringing to Spirit Adrift that's unique is me. And, you know, now Marcus is pretty involved with the records. What he's bringing to Spirit Adrift is him. And, you know, we both like Pantera and Trouble, and like we have a lot of the same favorite bands, but we're bringing ourselves to the table, and that's what I hope makes it Spirit Adrift, you know?
Hell yeah. I mean, you can definitely hear a lot of your influences, but nobody sounds just like you. And
Thank you.
Like, it's heavy and it's beautiful and it's inspiring, and all your records sound a little bit different too. You know, it seems like you're always evolving, and you're always like your vocals and your lyrics are evolving, and your guitar solos, and it's been really cool to watch you guys evolve and
Thank you.
to watch your different influences kind of come together. Like, it's funny. It's like creating a Frankenstein's monster out of all the stuff that you love in the world.
Absolutely. That's a great visual analogy for sure. Yeah.
So you sing so beautifully also. What made you, well, first, this is like a two-part question. First, what made you decide to sing that way as opposed to like creating a death metal band or something where you do like a more growly type thing?
Well, first of all, thank you. I still am tripped out when people say that. My vocals on the new album I'm really cool with, but that's the first one where I'm like, all right. So thank you. It's still weird to hear that. What's fascinating is I had the music like demoed for the first EP, and I was listening to that band Loss a lot from Nashville, like the Funeral Doom band.
Mm-hmm.
And that dude has like such guttural, like, especially on the early stuff. On the last album, he did some like higher, like screechy vocals. But when I first went in to like demo the vocals, I took my laptop like to this old practice space where I was at, and I tried to do like Lost style vocals or even like Mournful Congregation or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
like growly stuff. And I like
Any of those Cookie Monster type people,
dude, I couldn't fucking do it. I couldn't do it. Like, I just went in like blind. I didn't watch any videos on like how to do it. I didn't try to do it. I didn't like warm up. I didn't practice. Mm-hmm. I went in and tried to do like a growly thing. And I was like, dude, that sucks. That's not going to fucking work in a million years. And so I was like way too like nervous, especially at the time, because I had just gotten sober. And for somebody that's been fucking wasted for like 10 years, when you first get sober, you don't know, like, you don't even know if you're real. You like much less have any self-confidence. So I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, I don't have the balls to like sing. I was scared to do that. But I just went ahead and did it. And I was listening to a lot of Warning at the time. And I always listen to Paul Bearer. I love Paul Bearer. Those are like some of my best friends. And one of the best bands ever.
Yeah.
And I was listening to Yob a lot, and same goes to them. I love those dudes.
Love them.
And so I was listening to Brett, and I was listening to Patrick Walker, and I was listening to Mike, and just like, of course, like never gonna compete with these dudes because like three of the best singers ever. But I'm like, man, maybe I could try something like that, and so I did, and it just kind of arbitrarily came out that way. And I think the more music I started putting out, and the more I kind of started finding my own voice and getting like my confidence back and getting my identity back, the music kind of morphed and my voice kind of morphed. And I think, especially on the new record that's coming out later this year, it's like, that's me. Fuck, that's me. Finally, that's not Ozzy. That's not fucking Pat Walker. That's not anybody. That's me. And you can hear a little bit of like Hetfield or Rob Halford. Or, not saying I'm as good as those guys, but like just lifting techniques and shit. But it's me. Like, I finally found my voice, and I'm excited about that.
Oh man, I'm so happy for you. That's great.
Thank you.
Did you ever like take vocal lessons or anything, or did you totally teach yourself?
I was in competitive choir from.
That's sick as hell.
Yeah, from ninth grade through senior year, and they taught me a little bit. But when I first started playing like metal as a kid, I had to unlearn a lot of it. Some of it worked really well, like breathing techniques and stuff like that. But like vowel sounds and shit, like choral style vowel sounds don't sound cool when you're singing rock and roll music. They just don't. Like singing rock and roll, you have to sort of intentionally use improper technique for it to sound badass, you know? But as far as like breath control and stuff like that, a lot of it worked. And funny story about competitive choir, I think it was our junior year. Yeah, because I was 17. We went on like a trip and sang at like Carnegie Hall in New York. Yeah. And me and my buddy convinced his mom and my grandma, who are our chaperones, to let us just go. And we went with a buddy of mine in New York and saw Weed Eater. That was the first time I ever saw Weed Eater.
Nice.
And Dixie had like a cough syrup duct tape to the mic with a straw. He was just drinking cough syrup, and he had a trash barrel.
I where he attaches it to his aunt when he walks to the back, just like.
Oh yeah, beautiful. And he's like puking in a trash barrel between verses and shit. And I was just like, what is this? Like, this is the sickest thing. It was them and Alabama Thunder Pussy, R.I.P. And Crowbar and COC.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate Southern tour.
Yeah. And then
in New York.
And then the next day we went to some random tattoo shop. I'm 17 and I got This "I Hate God" tattoo is the first tattoo I ever got. Because the dude, we lucked out. We walked in and this fucking dirtbag was like, "I know I hate God," and I was like, "Sick!" And he just,
I'll tattoo you.
yeah, he put it right on me. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing. So if you had never been in competitive choir, maybe your life would have been a lot different.
Shit. Yeah. Who knows?
Well, I'm going to take a break from my questions for a second because it looks like we are getting some from people here. I'm not sure how to pronounce this person's name. Santhiaka.exe says, what's your favorite band? I think I know the answer, but
I think everybody does. It's Black Sabbath. Because there's like, that's almost a cheat answer because there's so many different lineups of Black Sabbath. So it's like 5 different bands. Mm-hmm. And every lineup of Black Sabbath fucking rules. I don't care what anybody says. It took me a long time to realize that. Like, that wasn't just a natural thing right out of the gate. I used to be like diehard Ozzy Sabbath only. But I like all of it now. I love Tony Martin. There's a couple of those Tony Martin albums that are like some of my favorites for sure. So Black Sabbath is for sure my favorite band by far.
What's your favorite Black Sabbath album?
Damn. I don't know. It was Sabotage for a really long time.
Nice.
Because, let's see, I heard Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, the self-titled, and Paranoid all on the same day. It was the same day I saw the video for Paranoid. I like went to the mall and got all those.
That's amazing.
It was like, fuck,
I gotta go right now.
Yeah. I love all of those, obviously, but I've listened to them so much that I'm like, I like know them too well or something. And then when I heard Sabotage, I was a little older, and they were doing all that experimental stuff. Like Thrill of It All had these really melodic parts, and you know, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath has Spiral Architect, which is like a really beautiful melodic song. Mm-hmm. But something about Sabotage when I first heard it, I was just like, I can't believe that you can just do whatever the fuck you want. You don't have to sound like they were just doing whatever they wanted on that. You know, it'd be like a thrash song into like an acoustic guitar odyssey. And mm-hmm. So Sabotage was my favorite for a long time. But I think Sabbath Bloody Sabbath might have edged it out at some point, or Volume 4. Master Reality, that period right there I love. I love Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules, and I love Headless Cross. Like, it's impossible to pick a favorite. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like picking a favorite child or something.
Yeah, for real.
I think these days Master Reality is my favorite, but like every time I pick one up, I'm like, oh no, this one's my favorite. So it's like impossible. Let's see, what else do we have here? We got. Was Black Sabbath the biggest inspiration to make the Angel and Abyss video? Says Gondor.s.v.
Yeah, I mean, that's a love letter to the first time I ever heard Black Sabbath, because I saw that Beat Club video. For people that don't know, the guy that shot that video, actually, we talked about that. I think he already knew this, but I had figured it out and we talked about it because I didn't know. But that's from a show called Beat Club that was in Germany in like the 70s. And there were like a whole lot of badass performances on Beat Club. Like Free played on there.
Oh, cool.
Dude, all kinds of people. And it's always like psychedelic, like Tracers and all kinds of shit. So yeah, it was definitely a tribute to Beat Club. But specifically like a love letter to that Black Sabbath video. And, you know, we did things to keep it from just being a straight up like throwback type of deal. Like we did the MTV captions as kind of a nod to like the 80s and 90s growing up and seeing those on music videos. And then when the solo hits, we kicked it into HD. Like the whole first part of it is run through a VHS, like an actual old beat up VHS.
Well, how you guys did that. That's really cool.
Yeah. But then when the solo hits, it kicks into HD. And there was an artistic like goal for that, which was to basically be like what we were talking about earlier. Like, yeah, we love stuff from the 70s and 80s and 90s and everything, but this is not like some retro rock fucking corny throwback band, you know?
Right. I'm noticing a lot of people are asking questions in the comments. There's actually a separate place with a little question mark. If you want to put your questions there, it's a whole lot easier for me to see them because otherwise they just sort of pop up. But I did see, while I was peeking down there a second ago, that Space King wants to know what your favorite Tybo album is. And obviously, I have to take that because I'm wearing my
respect
right now.
Hang on, I'll show you. And I have a fucking rant that I can attach to this, but I'll keep it short. This is my favorite Type O Negative album, World Coming Down. I've had a really shitty year, and a lot of people have, but even without coronavirus, 2020 has been fucked for me and my wife. And there's been a lot of good things. I'm not complaining, but that album, to hear somebody that's hurting as bad as Peter Steele was hurting when they made that somehow makes me feel better. I don't know why. And it has throughout different challenges in my life. At the end of my drinking, I would get fucking wasted and listen to that album. And I think it helped me get my shit together, kind of.
That makes sense. I mean, he says, I know my world is coming down and
I'm the one that brought it down.
Yeah, I'm the one that brought it down.
That's true. That was
real
me.
Accountability there.
Yeah, that was me. And then another thing, just all emotion aside, and just from a critical analysis, I think it's by far their most consistent album. Every single song is really fucking good and really heartfelt and really serious. And you can't say that about any other album. Even Bloody Kisses, there's some goofy shit on that. There's goofy, goofball shit on every Type O Negative album, except for World Coming Down. And even the interludes, it's people dying of drug overdoses and shit. It's serious.
What is it? Lungs, liver, and
what's the other one?
I should have looked at this.
I'm ashamed. What
I
else?
I had a feeling we talk about Type O Negative today, so I should have looked this up. But yeah, basically, for people who don't know, it's going over all the things. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's going over all his vices and how they're affecting his life and how he's doing them anyway, and he's trying to figure out what the hell to do about that. So that's a good record to get sober to for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we've got. Maybe we'll have some more questions now that I told people to put them in this place. Valley of Defilement wants to know if you have any tips on anxiety or how to cope with that.
Oh, man. I mean, that's tricky. It just depends on the person. But what the experts tend to agree that works universally is physical activity. And you don't have to fucking be Mr. hotshot fucking fitness man. Literally, if you just start off by maybe doing some squats in place in your living room or something. I don't want to sit here and preach exercise, whatever, corny shit. But I mean, that's the bottom line is physical activity helps regulate brain chemistry and all kinds of different stuff. I know one of the guys I look to the most for guidance on stuff like that is the comedian Joey Diaz, and he talks a lot about writing your thoughts, which admittedly I don't really do that. I think writing music is kind of my version of that. But he swears by and he's Captain fucking Anxiety. He swears by literally taking a notebook and just taking a pen, not even typing, just paper and pen, and just writing your thoughts out every day. There's all kinds of stuff get a punching bag and hit it as hard as you fucking can until you can't anymore. I don't know. That's what I do. I'm not an expert and everybody's different, and I don't want to try to act like I know what I'm talking about because, I put up on social media all the time I try to be uplifting and positive and stuff. But what I'm that's not a totally accurate view of my life. I'm not trying to show the world when I'm having a bad day and being an asshole to my wife or freaking out over things that have happened. I don't want to put that out in public. So I don't want anybody to think that anyone has it figured out. Like all these people on social media that look like they have this perfect fucking life, they're not showing you like the hard stuff that they're going through. So I want to be clear that like I still don't totally have my anxiety and like crazy manic depressive shit under control. Like it's managed, it's mostly managed, but you just have to put work in. Like whatever that looks like for you, you got to do something. Like take some kind of action, you know.
Sometimes that first step is the hardest, for sure.
Yeah.
What else we got here? What's your most awkward tour moment? Says,
I just saw that.
Or Jimmy Cantu.
Jimmy Cantu, shout out. This isn't really awkward, but this is one of my favorite tour moments. It was a Gate Creeper tour. We're in Chicago, and we all have these like hydro flasks, which are crucial on tour because you can just go in a truck stop and go to the fountain and like fill them up with water, and you're good. You don't have to buy water for 5 weeks in a row every day.
And it's plastic too.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Chase had one that was like had a flat top, like it didn't have this thing, and it was like bright yellow. And we were playing in Chicago, and he took the lid off and took a drink and put it back. And somebody in the crowd goes, "What are you drinking? Soup?" And there was like a pause, and literally everybody in the room started laughing. Everybody on stage. It was fucking brilliant. So it wasn't like super awkward, but that just is the first thing that popped in my head. It was really funny.
That's hilarious. I mean, maybe you want to have some soup on stage. You know,
might help.
Chase, his vocals, sometimes it seems like soup might help.
Yeah, it might. Like some fucking clam chowder or something like that.
Just like, hold on, I gotta do some throat coat really fast.
Yeah.
Let's see, we got about 12 minutes or so before it kicks us off. So, well, first of all, you just got 2 puppies. Do you think that they could make an appearance on this video?
Let me see what they're doing. Hold up. I'll be right back.
How are you guys doing? You can leave your thoughts in the comments. Nothing? Let's see.
I might regret.
Oh no, you're frozen. Right when the puppies are coming in. Oh, there they are.
Unfrozen.
Oh my God, they're so cute.
They were like sound asleep.
I hope so many people are taking a screenshot of what's happening right now.
That's a good idea. So this is Hank, and this is Dolly, and I'm gonna go put them back because they're really tired. I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Thank you so much for bringing them out. That made my mistake. Hi, Stephanie. I'm glad I made your wish come true.
So they're cute, but they've been quite a challenge. The people we got them from were, I'll just say it, they're fucking pieces of shit. And it was like this weird compound, probably like 30 minutes south of where we live. And it was total like Devil's Rejects shit. They had like gargoyle statues. It was like a trailer compound. It wasn't a trailer park. It was a fucking shithole. And they had like gargoyle statues and weird shit like that and clowns and stuff. And these dogs were like full of worms, full of fleas, no vaccinations, no nothing. And these people had the nerve to be like, we just want to know they're going to a good home because we love them. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? You love them, so you got them like, they're fucked up right now because you people. So they were like literally wild. There was like 8 dogs, like 6 full-grown dogs, and then these 2 puppies. They were like fighting over food every time they had to eat and shit. So I've packed a lot of training into the last like 2 weeks, and they're good now. They're good. They won me over finally. So
They
yeah.
seem like they are just precious little angels.
They're cool now. They're cool now. We were having problems at first. I wasn't sure if I liked them, to be honest. But they're cool now.
Like I might have made a terrible mistake.
Yeah, dude, literally.
And you named them after Hank Williams and Dolly Parton, which I think is so cool. And we were just talking about country music earlier, so I think it's cool that you immortalize them. Like,
Yeah, yeah. And we're in Texas. You know, our last dog was named Lizzie after Thin Lizzy. So I just wanted to do something different. And being in Texas, I felt like that was pretty appropriate. And what's funny is the dude across the street, who is like the nicest dude I've ever met, he had a similar problem with his septic tank or something, and we were texting each other. He came over to like show me what he had learned in the last couple of days, and he saw the dogs. He's like, "What are their names?" And I told him, and he was like, "Are you kidding me? My dog's name is Hank too." So he's like, "Do you like country music?" I was like, "You bet your ass, dude." So we're making friends already.
Oh, that's amazing. I bet there's a lot of dogs named Hank out there.
Gotta be.
Should be.
Gotta be.
Anybody watching right now, go check out Hank Williams. All three of them.
Yeah.
Hank Jr. is probably my favorite, but you know.
Dude, I didn't used to like Junior because he fucked with Kid Rock and stuff. But he, in the last couple of years, has like really, really grown on me. I've really discovered how great that he is. So I highly recommend listening to Junior. Give him a chance. Forget the Kid Rock shit.
I don't think I even knew about the Kid Rock stuff.
Oh, God.
I just like
God.
5 of his hits like so much. It's good party music.
Yeah.
Let's see if I have anything else that I wanted to cover before we get maybe like 1 or 2 more fan questions. Yeah, let's get some more fan stuff.
I saw somebody ask, what's the best gun for home defense? Which is really funny because I have a rifle being delivered today, or like the upper receiver. I'm building a rifle. I've never done it before, but it's a
cool
300 Blackout. My buddy told me about it. I don't really know shit about NATO rounds and ARs or anything like that, but that's what I got, and I'm building it today, which I just thought that was really weird that somebody asked about that specifically.
Well, I think anybody who follows you on social media knows that you like guns. So.
Yeah, and I didn't always like guns, man. There's been some kind of tragic shit in my family because of guns, so I was always kind of like averse to them. But it's just a tool. I don't want to get into it because I'd probably piss some people off, but shooting guns is fun, and I'm not a criminal anymore, so I don't really see a problem with having them.
Good caveat there.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got. Dave Castillo says clowns are scary as fuck. That's true. It's true. Good point, Dave. Oh wait, did I just get rid of my screen? What happened?
Yeah, you're blacked out.
I wonder what happened.
Here, I can do some face filters to keep people distracted. There we go.
Perfect. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, I'm looking for 2 minutes to late night asks, what's your favorite Hot Shot fucking Fitness Man album?
Hot Shot Fitness Man album?
Yeah. There we go. Oh wait. What the hell?
Gonna Fly Now, the theme from the movie Rocky. Or, I mean, that if you listen to the theme from Rocky, you will get like twice as strong in that moment. The album I listen to the most when I'm working out is Retaliation by Carnivore.
Nice.
By far. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jimmy Bauer introduced me to that album, and I'll never forget. He said, "Do you want to hear the angriest record ever made?" And I said, "Yeah." And he played me Retaliation by Carnivore, and I still think that's the angriest album ever made.
Yeah. It really is amazing how those dudes change their sounds so much from one band to another. Like to go from that to like the most romantic heavy band of all time.
He grew up. He got his heart broken in just the right way, finally.
Yeah. That'll make anybody grow up, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, does anybody have any more questions before we wrap this up? Hi, Kelsey. I love you. Best Metallica song.
I answered that the other day. It's either Master of Puppets. If I had to pick one, Master of Puppets, because it has everything. But I also like Blackened and Harvester of Sorrow a lot.
Harvester of Sorrow is up there for me too.
It's hard. That song is hard. They should call it Hardester of Sorrow. I just thought that.
Good one. We got, what's your freakiest fan experience?
Oh, some girl, some Blair Witch chic type girl in like Indiana told me that she wanted to be buried to one of our songs or something like that.
Damn.
That wasn't that freak. I don't really have. I kind of distanced myself a little bit. I'm like, I did the party like crazy weird shit for so long. Oh, dude, no. The freakiest thing was going to Finland and everybody getting naked with this dude that we were staying with and getting in the sauna. That was the freakiest thing. Definitely. I didn't think about that.
What did you guys do when that happened? Did you join or did you?
Some of us joined. I was like, dude, I'm a pussy on tour. I just want to sleep the whole time. So I remember trying to sleep and I would open my eyes and this guy's dick was like just right here. He was like leaning over me to play Dimelick on the laptop. And it just like, so I just gave up on sleeping and just hung out. But I think Eric and Chase and I think everybody except me got in the sauna with him. But the second night, we stayed with him 2 nights. I got in the second night. I was like, fuck it. It was cool. Everybody in Finland has a sauna. Even if you have like an apartment, they all like, it's very common for people in Finland to have a sauna. It's a really cool place. Finland is fucking
dark
awesome.
there, so I'm glad they have a way to be warm. And,
yeah, for sure.
You know, get their blood flowing a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, one more question. Best I Hate God album.
Obvious answer. Take Is Needed for Pain. It's like a masterpiece. That's all of their favorites. Confederacy of Ruined Lives is the one that made that band click for me. I think it's because I had better production and the vocals were a little more like tolerable for a kid. I was like a kid when I heard that band. So that one kind of, I heard Dope Sick first and I was like, I don't know what this is. I literally have no frame of reference for this.
Yeah.
Then I heard
it sounds like nothing else in the whole world.
Sounds like being dope sick. Like it's
right.
awful. It's an awful experience. But then I heard Confederacy and I was like, okay, I get it. And then I heard Take Is Needed for Pain. And that's the best one for sure.
Hell yeah. Well, Nate, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much. Everybody follow Spirit Adrift and buy their records and stream the hell out of them on Spotify right now and rack them up. So while we're in this quarantine time, they can get lots of money. And hopefully soon you can get back on the road.
We'll be back as soon as possible. We had plans for summer, but it'll probably get pushed back. But we'll be back as soon as we can. And we'll have a new record later this year. And I just want to thank you. This has been cool. It's cool just to talk to you. Even if there wasn't anybody watching, I would have enjoyed this.
Yeah, I'm like pretending that we're just FaceTiming and they're just spying on us.
Yeah, there are probably people spying on us anyway. So
probably. Good point. All right, I'll talk to you later. Thanks everybody for watching. I really appreciate it.
Peace. Thank you guys.
Take care of each other.